Hello, everyone. I'm Tom,
I'm Emily.
and alongside with Nita and India, we're part of a team called Compassionate Coders, a student group that partner with RBC's Borealis AI to in a program called Let's Solve It. And the objective of our team is to determine the occupancy rates of homeless shelters across Toronto using machine learning. And as a part of our project, we also came up with a software uh, as a prototype to show how our models can be implemented. So this is a video to showcase that.
Yeah, so let's dive right into the UI. Tom, would you mind showing us how this shelter selection field works?
For sure. So the first thing that you have to do is select from a different selections of shelters, filter out through the dataset from Toronto. So let's say if you select a random shelter, you can add that into your total shelters chosen. So now right now 0. Add that, it will become 1, and then you add another one, it will become 2. And now you can choose to view that shelter, those shelters that you have selected.
Cool. And so can we look at specific shelters?
Yeah. So in shelter information, the program ID here, when you click on the drop down, it would show you all the shelters that you have chosen. So right now, because it's 2, you see these 2. So when you click on any particular one, it would display the information of that shelter, such as the location, shelter group, and organization name. Switching it would display the shelter for that other model, for the information for that other shelter.
Cool. And let's see what forecasting does for this particular shelter.
So if you click on forecast from the from the chosen shelter list, it would show the 2 shelters. So we have information for 17811 and also 17211, and their predicted occupancy rates as well for the future, the next 60 days.
Nice. And can you go ahead and narrow in onto a specific date range?
Yeah, so one of the features that we've built in is that you can choose to zoom in on particular dates. So let's say if you want to just look at these dates here, you can do that by click on Open Calendar, and now you can select the dates that you want to look at. So let's say February 1st, 2024 to May 1st. We close it. Show the dates will show here, and when you click on forecast, you can see it zoomed in a lot more, like that.
Great. And I see you have some functions to remove and reset some shelters, I'm guessing. Could you show us how those work?
Yeah, so remove is for you to remove any of the shelter that you no longer want to view. So right now we have 17811. So if I want to select it and I want to remove that, I can select it and click on remove, and now it drop back down to 1. So now the in the program ID list, you can only see 17211. That's the only shelter that you can select. And for reset, it does the exact same thing, but it removes them all, including the date as well. So let's say if we add in 3 more now, let me show that again. We click on forecast, it has 3 shelters, but if you reset, it will clear them all and then clear the dates as well. Now they're gone, and the graph resets itself as well. So now you have chosen 0 shelters.
Nice. And so could you just add a couple of shelters for us and show us what the functionality is for the right side of the buttons? Sorry,
Yeah,
right
of
side of
course.
the screen and what those buttons do?
So let's start with change graph type. So if you take a look at, let's say if I select 4 random shelters and I choose to forecast them, the first thing you'll notice in this one is that it's a mess. So change graph type basically narrows down exactly the shelter that you want to look at. So let's say if you want to look at 14931, now click on change graph type. It would you can see that it would show the chosen shelter 14931 and only the predicted data of that shelter. So
Hmm.
if you want to change it again, select something else, click on forecast. It would now isolate a different shelter out for you to view. The idea is that once the data gets messy and you want to isolate, you want to view particular shelters, you can choose it from the graph type, and the yeah, and you can choose your particular shelter. Right now, the next one is view graph. So for that one, click. The point behind it is for you to view it, pop it out, open, and view it there. And you can also download the graph as well. So here, yeah, it pops open, and you can download the particular graph that you want. So if you change it back, view graph again, it would show it the same way as before as well. Download data does the same thing, except but it downloads the data of all the shelters that you've chosen, including their predicted data as a CSV file.
Nice. And then so could you explain the output fields and what they show?
Sure. So for the output field, let me go ahead and reset all the shelters, and let's select a random one. And then now let's forecast it. So yeah, as you can see, the actual data that it has, and also the predicted data from the model. So output field show you the numerical value of that data at any particular date. So let's say if we want to choose anywhere here, so we'll go back a little bit February. When we click on that, it would show you the actual data. So it would show you the data on that date. So the type of the data is actual data, meaning this is the data that exists, not the data that is inferred by the model, and the actual value of it itself being 100%. So if we let's say we select anywhere on this range, so that would be here. Um, it should now show you the predicted data because this is the data that the model predicted. So it may come to pass. We don't know exactly yet, and the rates of it, the value of it also occurs here. So if we select way past, and data that the model has not yet inferred, then it would show none because the date exceeded the predicted data. So yeah,
Great. And
yeah,
just looking at this, it looks fantastic, but the real question is what model are you using? What models are available? I see there's a select model field. Can you show the different selections that are available?
for sure. So that's the problem that you see here. This is using a univariate LSTM, meaning it only looked at the output features and the dates. That's why it looks very wonky and not accurate at all. So we've also implemented other models as well that you can play around with. So univariate is here. This is the one that we chose, and then you can also choose the correlation grouping LSTM that uses a different implementation of an LSTM. Now this would, if you select it, it would show you inference using that model, it's the same thing where you can play around. All the functionalities are the same, but now you get to see data that's predicted by a different model. Let's try citywide multivariate. That's what it looks like with citywide. So correlation. Let's see something else. A different type of model forecast that for example, that's what it would look like using the correlation model. And that's it.
Oh, that
That's
looks
the thing.
fantastic.
Do you have any other questions?
I do not. You explained it great. Thank you,
Sounds
Tom,
good.
for
Thanks
guiding us
everyone
through
for
this
listening in.
UI, and thank you.